Hello, a very warm welcome to Fireside Chats. My name is Magla Pillay, and today I'd like to introduce you to Sister Denise, an experienced practitioner of Raj Yoga meditation. Today's topic is entitled The Dark Night of the Soul. This series focuses on spirituality. It asks you, the viewer, to take a good look into your mind and heart and ask questions such as, what does spirituality mean to you? Is there anything within your personal life that you would like to improve? And is there any aspect of your external life, your family life, your vocation, where you think you could apply spiritual principles in order to make your life better? In this series, we also ask you to take a good look at what your relationship is with the divine and ask whether you can improve your relationship with God, whomever you believe him or her to be. Sister Denise, a very warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. The subject, Dark Night of the Soul. Ordinarily, one does not think of the soul either in darkness or light. The general belief is, I have a soul. You don't concern yourself with its transitionary phases.
Well, the dark night of the soul is an expression that isn't new, because what happens when a person wants to develop themselves spiritually or to follow the path of mysticism is you have to go into an inner space which is very deep and may contain some areas that are very uncomfortable, actually, because there is this deep, dark place that you have to cross before you reach the light. And it's a kind of a pilgrimage where you have to go in far, deep, into an unknown space. And sometimes it is fraught with things that make you afraid, things that make you doubt. It is very uncomfortable, but it's one of the tests.
I see. Sister Denise, how does the human soul reach darkness? What has it done? It's hard to believe that the soul originated in darkness. Is it a state that it has reached, or was it always in darkness?
I think that the soul itself is light, but the intensity of the light, the potency of the light, that is going to vary. So I think that the dark night of the soul is corresponding to the new moon, where it's just a tiny band of light. And the soul can never be totally extinguished, but it can go to a point where it's hardly any light there.
Now, how has it reached this stage? What has it done to wax or wane?
Wane.
Wane. What has the soul done to wane?
The soul hasn't necessarily so much as done anything, but the waxing and the waning of the moon is just a matter of time, depending on, how far it has got around the earth. But the soul cycles around eternity. So there's a period of time where the soul resembles the full moon. It's fully in its brightness. It has all of its qualities. It has absorbed, the full moon, the moon itself doesn't have any light, but the full moon is when it's facing the sun on the other side of the earth, so that it is reflecting the light of the sun. And God is very often described as the sun of knowledge. So the soul, when full, is reflecting the full light of God and holds the light of God. But when time passes, the light of the soul is used, And when the soul reaches the point of time where it has reached its nadir, the lowest point, that is when the soul is weak, the light is dim, and the person, the being, is experiencing that very, in a way, terrifying space of darkness, loneliness, isolation, being cut off from everything it holds dear. So that requires a lot of courage to get through that.
Okay, so the soul has reached this state, and you said that the soul's journey is eternal. From the dark night, how does the soul experience its dawn and morning and daylight? There is the dark night of the soul. There has to be the light day of the soul. Is there such a thing?
Yes.
And if so, how does the soul reach that that full circle moment?
Well, there are sayings, you know, that at the time when the night is darkest is just before the dawn, and the dawn is when the sun of knowledge rises. That is, the light of God appears on the horizon at this dark time and restores the soul to its full brightness. And this is really the relationship between the soul and God. The soul is looking for God, and when the time comes, which is the darkest, most dreary time, that's when the light of God comes, and then the soul is restored to its perfection.
Now, Sister Denise, all of this sounds wow and stunning, but on a practical level, what does that mean for an individual who is suffering, like millions on the planet are, and how does it make a connection with God? Because there are many roads, as it were, that say, you know, if you walk down this road, you'll find God. And then you're saying that there's an actual meeting between the soul and the Supreme Soul. If you have reached your lowest state, how do you find God, or do you find God? Does He find you? Who's looking for whom?
Well, there's
Who's stumbling in the dark looking for whom?
There's a convergence. I don't think God ever gets confused, but God is very aware of time, roles, God's own performance. God knows I am the creator. God knows I am brought together with souls at the time when the soul is really at its lowest ebb. So it's really about the extremes, the times of extremes. So God is the great light, and the great light meets the soul who is totally dim. Then there's the illumination of the soul. It's an extraordinary wonder when humanity is in darkness, in chaos, in pain, in confusion. That is when there is this reconnection with the light, with truth. And this is really the thing that the human soul has been striving for. And it is a phenomenon that, it's only when the soul realizes that there is nothing that can bring that light back except the Supreme Being, the Supreme Light. So then when the soul actually turns directly to God, that is when that happens.
Sister Denise, from a feeling perspective, there are many who understand that God is the parent soul and the soul is the child. So from a feeling perspective, take us through that. What does that mean on a heart level, what you just said?
You know, one of the beautiful titles of God is the Comforter of Hearts.
That is lovely.
And when the soul feels that the heart is broken, abandoned, frozen, the heart is really in pain and desperate, that is the time when there is that meeting and the heart is comforted by the love and the peace of God. And then as the soul becomes restored and takes in that energy of love and comfort, then the soul begins to discover other aspects of the Supreme Being and gradually fill the self totally from all the different qualities, the wisdom, the knowledge, all of the wonders of God becomes almost like fused into the soul, and the soul then carries that beautiful memory with itself on its journey through time until there is a wonderful meeting once again.
Sister Denise, in previous episodes, you went into great depth as far as the subject of the law of karma is concerned. Is it the soul's negative karma that brought it into darkness?
I think what we can also say, that can be said, but more than anything, it is the loss of light in the soul that caused the soul to perform negative karma, which caused the light of the soul to decline at an accelerating rate.
And how did we lose that light in the first place? Did we bring it on through our own conduct, or was it just meant to be?
It's just simply that as you are cycling around time, you reach a point in time where half of the soul's energy, half of the soul's light is used simply by coming into matter and performing actions. And when that moment comes, the soul just falls into that side of darkness. So at the beginning it's just a dusk, you know, but then the soul falls into the deep dark night.
Okay, as you're speaking, the image of the cell phone battery comes to mind. We came on earth, we were full, and then as time passed by and as we took rebirth, we became more and more empty. And then when we're very empty, that is the dark night of the soul.
Exactly. You know, when the sun sets, a lot of people, they like to watch the sunset. And there is a moment when the sun is just falls below the horizon.
Yeah.
And then you will say, it has set.
Yeah.
So it's as if a moment comes when the light of the soul that makes it naturally soul conscious is just gone, and then it becomes body conscious, it becomes oriented to matter or under the sway of matter, and this is where it's under this shadow, you see, the light has gone. So soul didn't do anything, it just happened. But then, it having happened, the soul is then looking for the light. And so this is where you get all of the different practices and religions and meditations, and the soul is striving to get back what was lost. But you can't get back, you know, the sunset happens at the beginning of the night, and the sunrise doesn't happen until the end of the night. So the soul has to pass through the whole night before it reaches the dawn and the morning, and finds once again the light of God and reconnects. And so there is this quite long period of the night which the soul must pass through. And when you're passing through the night, your eye is on when will the morning come.
Okay, Sister Denise, the human soul needs God. Does God need the human soul?
I wouldn't say that God needs the human soul, because God never changes. God is immutable, but the relationship is between God, the Mother, Father, and the children. So the children definitely need the parents, but the parents love the children. And so God's attention is on souls. And so there's a karmic connection between God and souls.
What is it about God's personality that can fulfill the needs of, well, every human soul on the planet? What, how is this possible? Because it's quite obvious that even if you have a significant other in your life, it's not possible for one human being to fulfill all of your needs all of the time. And yet, God, you're saying, can play that role in humanity. What is it about him that gives him the power, the ability, and the interest to pull something like that off? Because it is a humongous, superhuman task.
Well, first of all, we have to realize God is not a human.
Yes.
And it's very hard for humans to think of someone who's not human. I mean, we have various, how you say, different monsters, you have titans, you have all these various sort of superhuman, almost imaginary figments of the human imagination, but humans have not been able to extend to the point of being able to figure out God. Only God can describe himself, herself. God is the ocean of love, the ocean of peace, the ocean of happiness. God contains within his understanding the knowledge of all things, the knowledge of himself, the knowledge of the creation. And, God is also called the ocean of virtues. And it's as if God fills every human being there is with his virtues, knowledge, qualities. It's almost as if humanity, I think we're somewhere around 8 billion people, they have absorbed all the love, the peace, the details about God. Some have absorbed more, some have absorbed less. And so God, this work of God is to pour all that into humanity, and each one takes in their own way. And then God becomes still while humanity plays out the game, the play of the interplay of all these characteristics that they have with each other. Everyone has their own part in the drama, each one is individual, and when they become empty, well, they have to think about the source once again, and they will only take what they had taken previously, because that's what they have the space for. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a very extraordinary thing, and part of the study of Raj Yoga involves thinking about all this until you kind of see it, and you understand, what is my relationship with God, what is it about God that I want to take into myself. Because I think God, sometimes you say, is like a gigantic supermarket or a department store where everything is there, and you go in, you have a certain amount of time, you go in and take as much as you can get. So you're going to, if you're into sports, you're going to go straight to the sport department. If you're into cosmetics, you'll go to the cosmetic department, or dresses or shoes or, electronics, whatever it is you want, you'll go, and then when you've got all that, you'll look around and see what else is there. But how many people will take everything? Everybody will take something, and some will take more than others. But it is as if God makes himself available, and then take whatever you can. Be with me, absorb from me, use me, interact with me, take what you can, and then let that be your assets which carry you around the next cycle of time.
Why is so much of what you just said a secret? Why is it not common knowledge? Why is it that even though humanity has reached its darkness and its the depths of its darkness, people still don't know it? They have a sense of things, but we still don't know it. Why is that the case? Why is God so well concealed that most people don't know him? They would like to, but they don't know him.
Well, I think that God does reveal himself more easily to some. It really depends on the individual. But I think that once you have understood something about God, you then become an agent to distribute it to others. And you can present whatever you understand about God to others, and then they will take it or they won't take it. I mean, the thing is, when God comes, there are thousands of false gods. And so you have to be able to distinguish among all the false gods which one is the real one. And this is the thing, God is very incognito. And so there is a lot of merit in being able to discern who God is and where God is in the midst of all of this confusion.
Sure. Okay. Okay. And Sister Denise, if God is giving a message to humanity at this point in human history, and he wants to alleviate the darkness within the soul, what is he saying? What is the parent saying to the child?
The parent is saying to the child, focus your attention on me. I'm your mother, I am your father, be with me and take whatever you want from me. Take light, take peace, take this nourishment, just as a small baby just takes nourishment from the mother. Just take that love, take that peace, take everything you can and fill yourself. This is really the message. There's another aspect of the message which is, I think, very important, and that is do not consider yourself to be a material body, because you are a spiritual being of light, you are a soul. I think that's a very important message.
Yeah, because it's become very deep-seated that I am this. And the message from the Supreme Soul is that you're not. Is that part of what led to the darkness?
Well, when the soul loses that light and it goes into the darkness, it comes under the shadow of matter, and so it definitely considers itself to be matter, and it becomes associated with matter, and it fuses with matter, it confuses itself with matter, it becomes a materialistic soul, and then God has to take that soul and say, you're actually a soul, not a body, you're a spiritual being, please become soul conscious and not matter conscious.
So God is waiting?
God is there. You just have to turn your attention and begin to make the connection and start to take, draw that light, especially the light. Draw the light, fill yourself with light, open yourself up to the light, to the love, to the wisdom, and try to understand the knowledge that he is giving at this time.
What happens to the many who cannot see, do not accept God's proposal, God's hand?
One thing that is possible is for someone who is connected with God to display God through their own way of life, way of being, their face, their character, so that somebody can see something that they can relate to, and then they can be drawn to, okay, what is the source of this? I'm not the source, but there is a source, something like that.
Okay, Sister Denise, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. But this is one of those subjects that one can chat about for hours, but unfortunately, time has its limits, and we have to say goodbye to our viewers. But thank you. Your message was very sweet, and as you speak, I can feel God's presence from your eyes. So thank you for not for just for the words, but for the experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the subject of the dark night of the soul. An interesting question to ask yourself was, if you are a battery, where are you at in terms of your own power? I think that's the question. And if you think you're fully charged, then by all means you'll go on with your life as you did. And if it's low, then there is a very deep need within the soul, the child, to look for its mum and dad. And mum/dad is waiting for you. And Sister Denise has shared very powerfully and very beautifully that the fact that you reached your darkness is not your fault. It's simply time that has brought you to this state. It's also time to have a direct connection with the Supreme, to take power from Him, and to fully charge yourself once again. Very simple but very deep message. So I do hope that you take this to heart, and I do wish you everything of the best in your own spiritual journey. Thank you so much for joining us, and goodbye.